I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Silly Jedi! Silly Jedi!
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
Hello, what have we here?
Hello there.
At last! Where have you been?
Nice of you guys to drop by.
Ah, good. New acquisitions.
I don't know. I have a bad feeling about this.
Hey everybody, welcome to Jedi Toy Masters Star Wars Car Talk. And we are at episode number 4. And I hesitate to say that because, you know, as I'm recording these episodes, I realize that, you know, news changes and it seems like every week there's some new thing Star Wars related that comes out that I want to talk about. But as I record these episodes, you know, I kind of, I'm always recording them ahead. So I kind of feel like I'm missing out a little bit on some of the stuff. So this is episode 4, on top of the fact that episode 2, just to let you know a little bit, peek behind the curtain, I had to record like 4 times because something kept going on with my camera and it was cutting out some of the recording, and I would have like the first part of the recording, but then the latter part and the ending would get cut out. So I didn't know, like, I wouldn't know where to pick up from and finish up. So anyway, all that to say, in this episode, which is episode number 4, we're gonna talk about the Rise of Skywalker trailer, the final trailer. Now I mentioned it back in the last episode that, you know, I would be doing a little commentary on it, and I did. If you check out our YouTube channel, you can see a reaction video that I posted of myself and the little Jedi Toy Masters, and we watched the trailer. They watched it for the first time. I had watched it a couple times already because it had come out the night before, as we all know, during Monday Night Football, and then it was released online like minutes later. And so my boys were sleeping, and the next day, so the next day we watched it, and you could see the reaction on that. And also that later that night, I believe that night or the following night, I actually did a live stream on the Jedi Toy Masters Instagram, and where we went through the trailer and I broke it down, and it was a live chat and a live stream with chat on there, so people were posting questions and making comments and making observations, and it was kind of like a community breakdown of the Rise of Skywalker final trailer. So here we are. The trailer's been out for a week. From this recording, it's been out for a week. The idea is, okay, let me start that over. Oh my gosh, somebody just hit a squirrel. So the trailer's been out for a week from the time of this recording. So there's been a lot of time for myself and for all of you to really kind of like digest this trailer, really kind of watch it multiple times and really kind of break it down yourself in your head as you watch it and come up with ideas. And here's my take on this trailer, because I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine. He lives out of state. We'll actually have him on the show eventually. In fact, we're actually going to have him on the show later in this episode because, and I'll get to this in a minute, he did give me his 2 cents on the trailer. But he called me and asked me, like, so what'd you think of the trailer? We haven't had time to talk about it. And you know, it isn't until somebody asks you that question that you start talking about it out loud to someone that you realize, you know, you realize what your opinion actually is. Because upon first watching it, I was just like blown away. Oh my gosh, this is going to be great. I can't wait. But when you start thinking about it and you start rewatching it, and then you start thinking about like the history of this sequel trilogy and what it's done to Star Wars and what it's done to the fans. Not that it's so horrible. I'm just saying, you know, it's divided the fans a lot. The Last Jedi was definitely very divisive, and The Force Awakens, a lot of fans criticized it as being kind of like very soft and kind of like retreading on on the original Star Wars. And you know, my opinion of the thing is that I truly believe that it's essentially a soft reboot. It's Disney's way to soft reboot Star Wars. So anyway, this trailer, the more I watch it, the more I do like what I see, and I like where they're headed in this movie. However, I just feel like nothing in this trailer has been earned. And I'll tell you, and this is what I mean by that. You know, there's that scene with C-3PO, and my wife gets emotional with that scene where, you know, Poe says, "Hey, C-3PO, what are you doing there?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just taking one last look." And then there's a dramatic pause at my friends. And you know what? That's very sentimental, and that really tugs at the heartstrings. And you got Yoda's theme playing in the background, which is, the music is a very integral part to this whole thing. Without the music, this is just a weird movie. Music really makes it. But that scene hasn't been earned. Now, my friend has a theory, and I'll give him credit for this, because his theory is that you see C-3PO kind of plugged into like a machine or something. So they're doing something to him. They're reprogramming him, erasing his memory. Something's going to happen to him. He believes that when he says that, "I'm taking one last look," he's not really looking at them, at Rey, Poe, Finn, and, you know, them. He's actually looking at all the files, the memories that are being like extracted, or that he's kind of flipping through them, kind of like flipping through the photos on your phone, and he's flipping through all these memories that he has of his real friends, you know, Han, Luke, Leia, Chewbacca, R2, you know, like the original trilogy. He's basically looking at the original trilogy. My friends. That's his friends, the original trilogy. Because he doesn't remember anything from the prequels, because his memory was wiped. So his memory's been wiped before. So why would it be so dramatic now? Well, now because, you know, he has the memories from the original trilogy. So I like that theory. But taking it at face value, what you see in the trailer, that scene has not been earned. Because if he's talking to them saying, "I'm looking at you guys one last time because you're my friends," that hasn't been earned. That hasn't been established. You barely saw him in The Force Awakens. There was that ridiculous gimmick about him having a red arm, and it was just kind of like done for laughs. Then you have, in The Last Jedi, you have Poe basically telling him to shut up and be quiet and yelling at him like every 2 seconds. And he doesn't even interact with Rey or Finn in any of those two movies. So what happened between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker that now C-3PO and these new characters are like the best of friends? So anyway, that's not earned, but that also goes to show that I point that out because that's the problem with this sequel trilogy. That right there, that scene basically says it all. You're trying to fabricate these things, these moments. And this trilogy has been trying so hard to create nostalgia and create like this, like, you know, this, oh yeah, you know, we've grown up with these guys. No, we haven't. We know nothing about these characters. Nothing. Nothing in this trailer is earned. And the only thing that's redeeming it is the fact that Palpatine is in it. It's the fact that at the end of the day, it's gonna be revealed that Palpatine has been pulling the strings all along, and there's been a greater picture, a greater story taking place outside of this trilogy that we never got to see. So things happen outside of this trilogy that are more important and are more interesting than these movies that we've been watching. Like Rey. Who the heck is Rey? Why should we care about Rey? Why should we care about her? When we first met Luke, all we knew that he was this farm boy in a desert and he wanted to get out of there. Then in that same movie we find out, wait, his dad was a Jedi and he fought in the Clone Wars, and his uncle doesn't want to talk about it. Ooh, what's going on there? But we get context, we get information, and then we get, you know, like mystery. Then in the next movie we find out, oh wow, Luke, you know, he's you know, he's got the Force now. You know, like he's been growing in the Force. Oh wow, he meets Yoda, and what does Yoda say? Oh, powerful Jedi was he, Anakin? Powerful Jedi. What? My father? How do you know my father? like more information. And by the end of that movie, we find out Darth Vader is his father. And, you know, so we have more information and mystery. And Return of the Jedi, who was the other? The other is your sister. Oh, I have a sister. Oh, Darth Vader's my father. I have a sister. It's Princess Leia. Wow. And Leia kind of remembers the mother, but doesn't know the father. Okay, more information, more mystery. The prequels basically answered all those questions that we had left, but we got all the information that we needed. So really the information we got in the prequels was just kind of like, it was frosting on top of the cake. This new trilogy hasn't done that at all. We know nothing about Rey. We don't even know if what Kylo said was true, if they were filthy junk traders that sold her for drinking money or whatever, that they're dead in a potter's grave. We don't even know if that's true, and we learned that at the end of the second movie. Like, why should we care about her in this movie? Why should we even care? This movie is more about Kylo Ren at this point. So I say all that to say that this trailer, as awesome as it looks, and as emotionally charged as it is because of the music, all we got to see in this trailer are really cool moments that are completely out of context, that were not earned, that have not been earned. The only scene that I would say has, two scenes that have been earned is Kylo Ren. There's a scene, anytime you see Kylo Ren on screen, okay, those scenes are earned because we've actually seen Kylo Ren's character development. We've actually seen it. We know that he was somehow influenced by Snoke. We then find out that Luke was a part of that turning because of losing faith in his Padawan. And we know that he's struggling with the light and the dark. We know that. And that he is also kind of like done with either. He doesn't want to be a Jedi, he doesn't want to be a Sith. He wants to be his own thing. So it's like, you know, we understand that we could, you know, we get that. So anytime you see a Kylo Ren on screen, those scenes have been earned. And also the fact that Palpatine's in it. So, you know. And anytime you see Palpatine, now you hear his voice. Long time have I waited. That's okay. We know who this character is. We know his motivations. We know his associations. So now it's like, wow, I wonder what the whole story was. So those are the only two things that I really care about going into this movie. At this point, I really don't care about Rey anymore. I could care less who she is. Obviously, they have to reveal who she is. They have to kind of like crack that nut finally and let us in on like, who is this character? Why should we have been caring about her? Why should we care about her? Why should we have been following? Why did we follow her story in these last three movies? Like, what was it for? If we don't find out who she is, what was it for? Then if she's nobody, and the movie is really about Kylo Ren and Palpatine and the rise of Skywalker, then Rey was I mean, I hate to say it, but Rey was just a made-up character to get girls to like Star Wars, when you didn't need to do that. You had plenty of women that like Star Wars. So I just don't get it. I don't get it. So anyway, I say all that. I'm gonna take a pause right here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play some audio that my friend sent me. We were having a conversation, we were talking about it, we were both getting fired up, and for some reason, like our phone call kept getting cut off, and it happened like 3 times, and finally we just kind of gave up, and he shot me a text. He did a voice recording basically telling me his take, and he just sent it to me. So I'm gonna play that audio right now, and so you can kind of get his take on it, as we were because we were having this conversation going back and forth, and basically everything I said I already told him, and then this is what he had to say. So here it is.
So here's my take. I think when you said that it didn't earn it, I think that's a good point. See, my fear is that this next movie, I think it's gonna feel like a standalone movie. That's I mean, I think on one hand it has to be, because I feel like the other movies didn't really set it up well. But on the other hand, it kind of sucks that it's going to feel like a standalone film, because what was the point of the first two? You know what I mean? And I feel like it's going to be that, because, like, what the heck happened The Last Jedi? Like, it didn't really move the story forward at all. If anything, what happened was that Luke went from a bitter old man to kind of maybe restoring his faith in the Force, I guess. But I can't really think. Really, the story arc is with Kylo Ren. If anything, I feel like he's the main character. He may not be the protagonist, but he's the main character of the story. And he's the one that's going through, at least now, like, any kind of struggle, really. Like, Rey's struggle, sort of, is that she didn't know where she came from. Oh, no, not that. I mean that, like, her parents, like, left her, and then they'll be back. That's why she didn't want to leave Jakku. But I really don't see much of a struggle. Like, she took the call, right, to wield Excalibur, and then she met her mentor, but I don't even feel like she really even needed those things. So that's the problem that I'm seeing with this next film. But I do think that it's gonna have to do a lot of heavy lifting. It's gonna be jam-packed with things that should have been presented in the first two films. So that's just part of my take on the trailer and how it's gonna go.
So yeah, so that's basically it. I mean, the Rise of Skywalker trailer had a lot. I'm not going to break down the trailer here. If you haven't seen it, then you obviously you've been living under a rock if you're a Star Wars fan and you haven't seen it. And I apologize for that. Congratulations for getting out from under that rock. Please go watch the trailer now. And just if you have seen it, watch it a couple of more times and think about this. Like, what you're seeing and what you're thinking, what you're feeling. Has this trilogy earned that? Like, has it earned your respect as a fan to make you excited and feel those feelings, if that makes sense? And let us know in the comments below under this video what you thought of the Rise of Skywalker final trailer. What do you think about my opinion on this whole thing? Has this trilogy earned its place in Star Wars legend, in Star Wars lore? You know, you can say all you want about the prequels, but you knew what you were in for, kind of in the prequels. Like, you knew this was going to be the story of how Darth Vader became Darth Vader. You knew that Obi-Wan was in it. You knew the Jedi were in it, and the Sith, and it's the rise of Darth Vader and the rise of the Emperor and the Empire. How did we get there? That's what this movie, basically, the prequels were about. And you know, there's a love story and there's a lot of other stuff. These sequel trilogy movies, episode 7, 8, and 9, I mean, you know, I just don't understand. And I heard, you know, somebody said that, and you know, and my friend was actually one of the ones that I've heard it as well, that episode 9 does feel like it's going to be like a standalone movie. I mean, The Force Awakens was kind of like a standalone movie, except it had that kind of like cliffhanger ending, literally on a cliff. But this, you know, Rise of Skywalker, it just seems like JJ had to kind of write two movies into one. Like, he had to kind of like redo episode 8 in a way, and then transition into 9. And that's what we're getting in this movie. We're getting like, let's fast forward to a place where episode 8 is in the past, but we can still remember what happened in 7, because that was the launching point. That was a starting off point. And let's take it from there, you know? So, I don't know. I'm excited. Please don't get me wrong. I love Star Wars, and I'm excited for this new movie. I'm going to be there. I mean, I was already considering taking my kids out of school that day so we can go see it. But it's the day before Christmas vacation, that Friday. and you know, it's just not gonna work. Like they have too much stuff going on in school, like end of, you know, holiday parties and stuff. I don't want them to miss out, but I'm definitely gonna get tickets. I'm gonna like pick them up from school, and we're gonna like literally go from school to the movies, and watch this movie. And I'm probably gonna go try to see it on Thursday night as well. So I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Star Wars. I will watch this movie more than once, more than twice. But don't expect me to say that this is like right up there with the original trilogy, or that this movie earned everything. I mean, this movie has a lot of hype to live up to, and as a fan, it has it needs to earn my love. It needs to earn my respect at this point. This trilogy really needs to earn it. Now, if this movie is amazing and they knock it out of the park, and they answer all our questions, and they, you know, quote unquote fix all the issues and end it in a way that's satisfying, but at the same time leaves you hopeful for the future of Star Wars, because like, okay, finally Disney got it right. Now let's see what else they do moving forward. Then, you know, I'll that's it. Then it is what it is. This, you know, the prequels weren't perfect. They exist. We can go back and watch them anytime we want. And now these sequel movies will exist, and they might not be perfect, but we'll be able to watch them or not watch them if we please. I also think that the fact that Disney Plus comes out in a few weeks, and The Mandalorian is going to be like a weekly show that's going to be on every week right up until like the week after The Rise of Skywalker, I think that's going to help in getting everybody in a Star Wars frame of mind. I mean, hopefully it doesn't backfire, and like The Mandalorian isn't like so amazingly awesome that by the time we watch The Rise of Skywalker, we're going to be like, the Mandalorian is better, you know? So, we'll see how that plays out. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. If you're listening to it in podcast form, please make sure you like and subscribe and share. Also, if you're watching this, obviously, like and subscribe and share. And comment below what your thoughts of the trailer are. Have they changed from the couple of weeks that you watched it a few weeks ago and now? Let us know in the comments below. Please make sure you share and like, and check out some of our other videos as well. So, wow, Rise of Skywalker. It's got a lot to live up to, and I hope it does. I hope the Force is strong. I mean, if the Force is strong, it will. But anyway, again, thanks for watching, and remember, the Force will be with you.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
You're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view.
What are you talking about?